Welcome back to More Sewing with Michelle. This week, I've got a lot to talk about, and I'm going to show you this wonderful product called Soak. I've got 3 scents. I've got Pineapple Grove, and Unscented, and Celebration. And I'm going to show you how this can help you with your quilting or your embroidery. And I'm going to show a little bit and talk about how to maintain your quilts. Got a lot to do. Let's dive right in to this week's More Sewing with Michelle. Okay, Soak. Why Soak? And what does Soak do for you? Now, I've used Soak for a few years, and I've used it on my quilts when I wash them, and also delicates and stuff. But Soak is made by our friends up in the north in Canada, and it is a bio-friendly cleaner, and it is a pre-washer, and you don't need to rinse it. So as far as the environment, it's better for the environment to use something like Soak because you're going to use less water in the rinse. It can save you up to 11 gallons of water in your washing machine if you use Soak. And it just does wonderful things, and the scent is great. Now, the advantages of not rinsing out your Soak is you get that wonderful fragrance that stays into your fabrics. Now, Soak is great for lots of different things. So, like I said, I'm going to talk about the scents a little bit later, but think about it. Think about anything that gets really stinky, or you might get a stain on it, and you're just worried, oh my gosh, is this going to survive the washing machine? Things like your slippers and your shoes. Soak them. This is a hat that I got in Scotland. It's wool. And of course, when I wear it, sometimes I get, my head gets sweaty like normal hats. Well, I wouldn't want to put this in the washing machine, but I can soak it. And what is this? Face mask. Especially if you're women, like you can see here, I got a little bit of lipstick on the inside, and you know that you're supposed to wash these frequently to remove any bacteria and stuff that gets trapped. But soak it so that it gets clean and it's perfect to go. Now, lingerie, and also, workout gear. We all know when you work out, you get sweaty and you get stinky. So this will take care of it. And especially with this, a sports bra that's stretchy, the fibers are going to be protected and last longer if you soak it than if you put it through the regular washing machine. Now, knits. Oh my gosh, this was a gift from me to me for Christmas, and I just adore this scarf, and I want to protect it. And obviously, when you wear it, stuff can get on it, odors. Soak it to get it clean. And then I also have this crocheted Afghan that my grandmother made me. I got it when I think was about 10 years old. She made one for all of our family members, and I just cherish it. And I wouldn't want to put something like this into the washing machine frequently, but I can soak it. And then we also have, this is a little handmade. Now this checks off 2 different boxes. Not only is it handmade, actually 3 different boxes. All of these little flowers here are wool. It's wool felt. And I have hand stitching on here. So it's a handmade pillow with wool and stitching. And this is absolutely something that I would soak. And you could put the whole pillow form and everything in there together. Or on this one, I actually could just take off the cover. Oh, and also this is linen, so it's a delicate fabric on the background. So it's got multiple things. But if this was to get stinky or get a stain on it, I wouldn't hesitate to soak it. Now, I would hesitate to put it into the regular washing machine. And we all know that washing machines do a great job of cleaning, but if you soak it, this will take care of it. Now, let me talk a little bit. Oh, one more thing, makeup brushes. Makeup brushes are another good item to use with Soak. So those are some of the things that you can do as far as cleaning with Soak. But let me talk a little bit about Soak itself. Like I told you before, it is a pre-washer. It You don't need to rinse it. So you can pre-wash things. You can completely wash them, like how I do with my quilts. And being that it's a no rinse formula, as I said, it will save water. You can, if you want to, go ahead and leave your washing machine set up for the rinse cycle. It's not a problem. The only problem is that it will rinse out most of the scent. And then on here we have the Celebration and the pineapple scent. And believe me, they are wonderful. And I don't want to rinse them out. So you can turn off on your machine the rinse cycle and keep that in, and that would be perfect. Now, hand washing will extend the life of fabrics to 20 to 30%. So if you were just going to soak your items, you would then, and I'm going to show a little bit demo later, but you would dry them out, rinse, squeeze out as much of the water as you possibly can, and let them air dry, and it'll be perfectly good to go. And that's what you would do if you're going to literally hand wash. But keep in mind, soap can go into your washing machine and use just in your regular cycle. And it's also good for the HE washers as well as the regular ones. And it is a low suds liquid. So dirt, detergent, smells, odors are all going to be taken care of by this wonderful product soap. I love it. And like I said, I use it, and I'm going to give you a little bit demo as far as what you can do with it and how to use it in just a small little setting. Obviously, I'm not going to take you downstairs to my washer and dryer because we all know how to do that. But I'm going to do a little item here and show you exactly how it works. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss out on this soak demo. I am going to talk a little bit about quilting and how to maintain it too. So be right back with more information. So I know you're going to want to pick up some of the soak, and let me explain real quick. These are single-use packets, perfect for travel, perfect for one-time use. Throw your quilt in there, and you have one packet ready to go per each time that you use it. Now you can use it individually, like I'm going to show you in just a little bit, in a bowl where you actually soak something, or put this whole thing into your washing machine where you would put your other detergent, and you're good to go. Now we've got Pineapple Grove scent, which, you know, anything pineapple is at the top of my list. I love pineapples. I love to eat them. I love to smell them. I love that scent. So we have Pineapple Grove. We also have Celebration. Oh my gosh, what a great scent. And once again, that's Celebration. And then we have, for anyone that is sensitive to smells, or you just don't want to smell in your quilt or your lingerie or whatever it is, we have the scentless version. So we've got 3 different options for you. And like I said, these are perfect one-time use packages for either your washing machine or your bowl. Whatever you want to soak, it's good. Now, keep in mind, you can go to moors-sew.com and you can pick it up there. If you go to the More Sewing with Michele landing page, you'll find it there. Or you can click on the link in the description on the video feed here, and that'll also take you to it where you click on that button that says Shop Here. So 2 ways to pick it up. I know you're going to want to use this. And let me talk a little bit more about wonderful things that you can do with it. Think about it. Wool, cashmere, embroidery, hand embroidery, and also machine embroidery can be delicate. So this is perfect. Swimsuits. Now, I can't tell you how many times I'll pull out a swimsuit from my drawer and the elastic is just no good anymore. And the fibers of swimsuits just deteriorate. Well, a lot of that is because of the chlorine. But if you use soak, it will help remove that chlorine. So when you're done in the swimming pool, rinse out your swimsuit and then soak it. And you're going to help extend the life of that swimsuit. And we all know how expensive swimsuits are these days. So protect them with soak. Soak is also going to release sweat and odors from anything. It's perfect for babies. Think about it. Babies tend to have sensitive skin, and using soak will help with anything that wraps around the baby to protect it so it doesn't have any high chemicals in there to possibly irritate baby skin. And it's perfect for travel. Think about it. If you're traveling and you don't want to take a big container of liquid, these are perfect. They're one size and they're good to go. So the rule is, if you can get it wet, you can soak it. And like I said, get them at moors-sew.com or click on the link in the description of this video and you can purchase them there. Wonderful things. I can't wait to hear what you soak. Okay, let's get going with the demo. I am going to clean up one of my little table runners here, and this one is downstairs on some of my antique furniture, and I made several of them, and oh my gosh, I love it. I love scrappy stuff, but I use 2-inch squares to make them, and I don't know if I'll ever do that again. I think I like 2.5 inches is kind of my minimum. These 2-inch squares were just dinky to work with, but anyways, it's down there. It gets all the elements, and it's got lots of dust, cat hair. It just collects stuff, and I'm going to soak it. So basically, you do want to make sure that if you're washing something that you haven't washed before, that you test it for color fastness. And we all know that we've had that one item that we throw in the wash and then everything turns all that color. So just keep in mind, just like you would any other normal thing, test your fabrics quickly to make sure that you're not going to have issues. This one is not. I've been washing it for years, so it's good. So I'm going to use my Celebration scent. Let me cut it open real quick here. And let me put this aside. I'm going to put this in the water. Now, soak is 97% plant-based. No animals were ever harmed when they made it. And this is another thing that I love about the makers of soak, is that they, let me swirl it around. Like I said, it's a low suds cleaner, but the packaging is 100% recycled, which is great. I love that we have a packaging and they're using up those bottles that we all turn in. So I'm going to simply put it into the bath or the soak, and I'm going to just squish it around a little bit. You'll see that the bubbles come up and we get a little bit of, what are they called? Bubbles, lather. And I'm just going to squish it around. I am going to, because it's two-sided, I can already tell that this water is turning colors, which is great. It's taking out the dust, the environmental things that get into our quilts and our items, and it's taking it out of the fibers of my little mini quilt here. And I'm just going to, once again, keep squishing it around. You'll see that there's more bubbles that come up, but nothing quite like what we have in our, you know, our washing machines downstairs. And I'm just going to continue. And like I said, the scent is wonderful. It is a little bit fruity, but I can't really put my finger on it as far as what type of scent it is. All I know is that I love the way it smells. And like I said, the pineapple, oh my gosh, my favorite. But once again, if you do not like scents or if you're sensitive, that unscented one is the way to go for you. So just giving it a little bit more. And then what I like to do is simply squeeze the excess water out. Now I'm not twisting, I'm simply squeezing it together. And then the next thing that I will do is I have this other towel here. Let me get rid of these bits here and my scissors. I'm going to move this over and I'm going to open up this other towel and I'm going to lay it out and I'm going to roll it to help get some of the extra water out. Let me move this over now. So I've got my little table runner in my towel here, and I'm going to roll it up to get some of that extra water out. And I am pretty much so squeezing as I roll. And I can feel the towel getting, you know, a little damp. I'm going to unroll it. And love that smell of Celebration. And now all that I'm going to do is simply lay it on this towel and let it air dry. And like I said before, All of the plant-based stuff from soak will evaporate, and you're going to be left with that wonderful smell. So that's it. That's how easy it is to wash something with soak. And like I said, I used the Celebration scent. Love it. I'm not sure, it's kind of a little fruity, but it's a good scent. So that's soak, the demo, and let me talk a little bit how to care for your quilts. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about quilt care. And we all spend so much time creating these one-of-a-kind things, either with embroidery that you make a quilt or just with regular quilting techniques. And I want my quilts to last a long time, so I take extra steps to make sure that they are going to be around for years to come. I already talked a little bit how important I feel it is to label your quilt so that all the generations to come know exactly who made it, and it can be, everything from the patterns to where you lived. It's all completely up to you as far as what you want to put on your quilt, but definitely label your quilts. And this one here, this little table runner, I still have. After it just got soaked, I'm having it just sit here, so you may see it on the table. But what I want to talk about now is what I do to save my quilts and to make sure that they're, around for years to come. Now, let me explain a little bit. My mom has been a collector of vintage quilts for years, and I've been on the hunt with her. And she's always so excited when she finds a vintage quilt, and we open it up and we look at it. And you can see if someone took care of it before, or you can see if it just was a well-used tool to keep someone warm. And those rare finds are the ones that maybe, for whatever reason, I would like to say because someone didn't like it, or I know with me, when I get some handmade crochet or knitted things, I'm afraid to use them because I want to make sure that they last. But that's kind of silly because they last, but then I never get the enjoyment out of it, which is why I love using my quilts. And I switch them out all around the house, so I use them, I decorate with them, and I want to enjoy them while I'm around. And in order to do that, there's certain things that I do. So the number one thing that I recommend you do is use color catchers. And with the modern fabrics, they definitely do not have the bleeding of the inks and dyes, but every once in a while, there'll be something that will migrate a little bit. And I think that's just part of, washing something. So I always, every time I wash a quilt or an embroidered item, I always put a color catcher in the wash, and then it travels all the way through to the dryer, and then I reuse them several times. Now, this is a big package. I always have them on hand, and you can pick these up at any of your local convenience stores, your grocery stores, Target, Walmart carries color catchers, and they're made by Tide, and you can find them in the laundry department of those stores. So make sure you use your Tide color catchers anytime that you wash a quilt. Now, this is the quilt that I had for the last episode of More Sewing with Michele, and when I take a quilt out and I use it, I basically, when I put it back, I fold it differently. And I make sure that the creases are not in the same area. And that's important. And the reason is because if you fold that quilt the same way, every time you put it away, it's going to break down those fibers where that crease is. And that's what I have found over the years. When you get these vintage quilts or quilts that have been around for years, you'll see that the fibers where the folds are deteriorating. And that's because of, if you put something on top of it, it pinches it. And it just makes, if you constantly have a crease at the same area, the wear and tear where it's folded is going to break down those fibers. So fold your quilts differently each time you put them away. So on this one, basically, I'm folding it in thirds, where last time it was folded in half. And then I like to just pick randomly different ways of folding it so that every time I put it away, it's folded in a different fashion. Now you can, depending upon how you're storing things, you could fold it in a triangle fashion, like so, kind of like the American flag, when you fold an American flag. and then fold it up. It's completely up to you. But one of the other things that I do with my quilts is I roll them up and I store them vertically. And that way there's no folds in them, except for if you're folding them in thirds or halves. But I love to roll my quilts because it's less probable that you're going to get, a crease or a problem with that quilt. So those are some of the things that I do to protect it. Now, when I'm washing my quilt, either with soak or just regular washing in your washing machine, make sure that you have a machine without a central agitator. Now, the agitator is that kind of cone thing in the middle of basically washing machines that have been in there for years. And that always helps to agitate the clothing or whatever you put in there. So if you have an older washing machine, see if you can turn off that agitator, and that way you're not going to have that agitator roughing up your quilt, so to speak. Another thing you can do if you do not have a washing machine that you can turn off that agitator, go to a laundromat and see if they have one for big quilts. I'm very fortunate. Our washing machine downstairs, I can put a large quilt in there, and I don't have any problems. So keep in mind, you're going to want to make sure that it doesn't have an agitator. The other thing is I like to wash my quilts in cold water. Hot water, for obvious reasons, can promote fading of the fabrics, and also it can release the dyes more. So I like to wash my quilts in a cold water, and also I like to put them on the delicate cycle, because even though these quilts that I make, pretty much so all of them are made with a sewing machine. Sometimes I do have hand stitching included in my quilts. They're durable, but I want to make sure that they last, and that's the whole big benefit of taking care of your quilts so that they're around for years to come. And what else? So drying, I do put my quilts in the dryer, and I just make sure that I pull them out. And once again, like I said, when you pull them out, either lay them flat, if you're putting them on a quilt or whatever, roll them, or make sure that when you're putting them back together that you're not folding that quilt exactly the same way each time. And that's going to help promote the lifetime and extend the amount of warmth and love that you get with every quilt that you make. And I think it's important. So just a reminder, use your color catchers. Do not use your central agitator on your machine. Cold water. Use soap to clean your quilts. And also put them in the dryer. I do use a dryer sheet, but also make sure that you're using cold water and there's no agitation. And you can always, I've done it once or twice, you can always, if you have a very vintage quilt and you're just not sure of how it will survive, keep in mind on those quilts you do want to wash them in a bathtub, and soak is the perfect thing for that. So hopefully I gave you a little bit of maybe thought process as far as how to clean your quilts, how to maintain them. And keep in mind, I wash my quilts all the time. Since I use them and I decorate with them, they get a lot of wear and tear in my house, and I get so much enjoyment out of them. And with that said, they do get the dust and the environmental things, so I've got to clean them up. So soak helps me with that, and I hope now you will look at washing your quilts a little bit differently. Okay, so that's all the time we have for this week of More Sewing with Michele. Don't forget to click on the link in the description where you can pick up soak. We have the pineapple scent, the celebration scent, and also we have the scentless. All of them are wonderful, and I know you're going to enjoy them to help preserve your quilts or embroidery or handmade items for years to come. I am so thankful that you took time out of your busy day to join me on More Sewing with Michele. I look forward to next Monday, and until then, bye-bye!